Ancient origins, the Eastern Slavs. The vast expanse of the East European plain, crisscrossed by mighty rivers like the Dnieper and the Volga, was home to a multitude of Slavic tribes long before the emergence of a unified Russian state. These were a people defined by their shared language and a way of life deeply intertwined with the land. Scattered across forests and steppes, they farmed, hunted and traded amongst themselves and with neighboring peoples. Their world was one of small settlements, pagan beliefs and oral traditions passed down through generations. While lacking centralized political structures, they possessed a strong sense of community and kinship, laying the groundwork for the social fabric of a future nation. These early Slavs were not a monolithic group. They were divided into several tribes, each with its customs and dialects. Among the most prominent were the Ilmen Slavs in the north, the Krivichi around present-day Smolensk, and the Polyanians along the Dnieper River. It is from the interaction of these groups, particularly the Polyanians, with Scandinavian traders and warriors that the foundations of the first Russian state would be laid. This interplay between native Slavic populations and outsiders would prove to be a recurring theme in Russian history. Life for these early Slavs was harsh, but also fostered a deep connection to the land and a resilience that would characterize the Russian people for centuries to come. Their beliefs were animistic, worshipping spirits of nature and ancestors. They lived in harmony with the cycles of the seasons, their lives dictated by the rhythms of sowing and harvest. Their social structure was largely egalitarian, with decisions often made communally. This world, however, was on the cusp of transformation as new forces arrived from the north, the Vikings, known in the east as the Varangians. The Norsemen come calling, Vikings and the birth of Rus. From the late 8th century, Scandinavian adventurers began to penetrate the waterways of Eastern Europe. Driven by a thirst for trade, plunder and new lands, the Vikings, known as Varangians in the east, sailed their longships down the rivers of modern-day Russia. They established trading posts and settlements, connecting the Baltic region with the Byzantine Empire and the riches of the east. These Norsemen, skilled warriors and shrewd traders, quickly imposed their authority on the Slavic tribes they encountered. One Varangian leader, Rurik, arrived in Novgorod around 862 and established his rule over the local Slavic and Finnic tribes. This event, shrouded in legend and historical debate, is traditionally considered the starting point of the Rurikid dynasty, which would rule Russia for centuries to come. Rurik's successor, Oleg, moved south and captured Kiev, a strategically important city on the Dnieper River, laying the foundation for a new power in the region, the Kievan Rus. The arrival of the Vikings was a turning point in East Slavic history. They brought with them their military prowess, advanced shipbuilding techniques, and crucially, their experience in organizing larger political entities. While the Vikings constituted a ruling elite, they gradually assimilated into the local Slavic population. They adopted Slavic languages and customs, and their name Rus became synonymous with the land and its people. This fusion of Scandinavian and Slavic elements played a crucial role in forging the identity of the emerging Rus' state. Byzantium's enduring embrace, shaping religion and rulership. While the Vikings provided the initial impetus for state formation in Rus', it was the influence of the Byzantine Empire, centered in Constantinople, that had a more profound and lasting impact on its culture, religion and political ideology. The Byzantines, heirs to the legacy of Rome, possessed a sophisticated culture and a Christian faith that had already spread to the Slavic world. Trade routes along the Dnieper River served as conduits for Byzantine goods, ideas and beliefs, profoundly shaping the development of the young Rus' state. The most significant event in this cultural exchange was the Christianization of Rus in 988 under Prince Vladimir the Great. Seeking to unify his realm and elevate its status, Vladimir chose Eastern Orthodox Christianity as the official religion of his people. This decision had far-reaching consequences, aligning Rus' with the Byzantine cultural sphere and setting it on a different trajectory from the Catholic West. Byzantine influence extended beyond religion to statecraft and law. The rulers of Rus' adopted the Byzantine model of imperial authority, viewing themselves as God's anointed representatives on earth. They borrowed Byzantine legal codes, administrative practices and artistic styles, incorporating them into their own nascent institutions. This Byzantine legacy would continue to shape Russian political thought and culture long after the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The Mongol yoke, a legacy of isolation and autocracy. The flourishing civilization of Kievan Rus', however, was dealt a devastating blow in the 13th century with the arrival of the Mongols, a nomadic people from the steppes of Central Asia. Led by the formidable Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongol armies swept across Eurasia, conquering vast territories and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. In 1240, the Mongols, under the command of Batu Khan, sacked Kiev and subjugated the principalities of Rus', ushering in a period of Mongol domination that would last for over 2 centuries. The Mongol conquest had a profound and lasting impact on the course of Russian history. The Mongol Empire, known as the Golden Horde, imposed a system of tribute and indirect rule on the Russian lands. While the Mongols themselves remained largely in the south, their rule led to the decline of Kievan Rus' and the fragmentation of its territories into numerous principalities. This fragmentation, coupled with the need to appease Mongol overlords, fostered a tradition of autocratic rule and centralized power in the hands of princes. The Mongol period, often referred to as the Mongol yoke, had a complex and multifaceted legacy. It isolated Rus' from Western Europe, hindering cultural and technological exchange. It also contributed to the rise of Moscow as the dominant power among the Russian principalities, setting the stage for the emergence of a unified Russian state centered in the northeast. The experience of Mongol rule, with its emphasis on centralized power and unquestioning obedience, left a deep imprint on Russian political culture, shaping its autocratic traditions for centuries to come.